To start with, I think I'd actually like to start with Anuj. You talked about the journey at the beginning, maybe literally not from a garage, but from a kitchen. And maybe just give a little bit of how that started, what that inspiration was at that point, and what you've come to today, and I'll build from there as we go.
The journey started when I was in the diamond jewelry business, which I'm glad I got out of. And I'd suffered many injuries as an athlete, as someone who wanted to play professional sports, and I'd understood the kind of fitness and consciousness of health and nutrition, and the need to be disciplined. Growing up in a vegetarian household, how important it was when I had injuries to recuperate. So I remember when I broke my back and I couldn't walk for about a year and a half properly, I started making some green juices at home, because apart from all the physio, it was just very important for me to also do that. And I just learned more about how fruits and vegetables are grown in India, what kind of conditions farmers really grow these in, what nutritionists and dietitians really say. But I never thought about this as a business. So I started in my kitchen, and today we are in 16 cities in India. We're several thousand points of sale. We're also an international brand. We're in the Middle East. We've been scaling for about 2 years, and it's been a great journey.
Actually, in that, as we think about retail and as we think about brands and building them, distribution is often one of the biggest questions and challenges. When you've looked at distribution and you've looked at how you guys have thought about building your brand, you guys have celebrities behind it, massive power in terms of how you look at it, but you're staying in a certain space in terms of how you think about it. How are you approaching distribution? How do you think about that?
So we have always wanted to build, the idea, just to go back on the journey, was to build this homegrown brand of great trend forward, retail, fashion, accessories and decor that you would just not getting in this country. I guess, fulfilling a need in that sense, where this was, we started in 2012 actually, and then in 2015 is when we became the label Life. Back then you had the Zara, but there wasn't your Gap and H&M. So we were all shopping abroad, and we wanted to sort of build that in the country. And in terms of distribution, we really wanted to control two things. One, the brand, and two, our numbers. And we really, in the sense of sort of wanting to break even, in the sense of really keeping up prices at that, what we call mastige border, which is, it's just aspirational enough for a certain set, and also just within the reach of a lot of us. To get that right, we really wanted to function within our own space. We really wanted absolute control on what we did. So we've maintained that. We've done a bunch of small experiments. We're actually doing a little experiment with Amazon at the end of the month. So while we realize that the accessibility comes from, being with the marketplace, we do really believe that with what we want to build, we can do it differently. So there are actually a couple of stores in the pipeline. We started shipping, actually, since you mentioned Middle East, we just started shipping to the Middle East this week. So we're opening up the markets in a very different way. We do little pop-ups, pop-ins across the country. We do collaborations with brands like WeWork, Shandon. So we feel like there is definitely a stronger a brand approach by doing things like that, instead of going a lot more mainstream. And our numbers look good, so we're doing fine.
If it's working, it's working. And so actually in that area of control as well, actually, I've had a chance to talk a little bit about personalizing clothing and looking at that side of the equation, what you need to do to deliver what you believe is that experience. And so maybe chat a little bit about that.
Talking about control, when we started, we actually didn't build in any margins for being able to sell through third parties. We always envisioned that we'd control the experience from start to finish, because it's as much of a service as it is a product. As we've scaled, things have changed, obviously. For example, we've started franchising now, so we're exerting control, but in different ways. So while we don't control the front end in some cities, so we're some cities that we wouldn't go to otherwise, let's say Pune, which we're opening soon, or even a Chennai, Calcutta for that matter. Internationally, we've opened as well in New York and Dubai. We're giving up control in that we're not controlling the front end and the staff who work there, but we're exerting it through other means. So the quality control, the training that we put in place, the SOPs, etc. But I mean, it's like you said, it's sort of the antithesis of growth is you have to give up a little bit of control on the way.
And actually, what's really interesting, I think all of you have been around for quite a while and have started and been through a journey and seen a lot and taken your time in building to this place where it feels like you know what you stand for. And it feels like you're very clear about what you are and what you aren't. And so maybe talk a little bit about how you went through that and how you've looked at where you see really disrupting things. I hate that word, but nonetheless, or changing things and looking at really what that personalization brings into it.
So I think the nature of our business is very different. Our vision is very simple. It's to be the personal stylist to every Indian. We don't have our own products. We partner with a huge ecosystem of brands. We realized very early on in our journey that there should be an online as well as an offline play to our business. We do a lot of on-ground activations, the Stylecracker Borough, the Stylecracker Night Market. These are not, we don't view them as business, but it's part of a strategy to our business. So what we are doing is personalization at massive scale. Today, we can curate a box for a user in 150 seconds. Our technology team work on basically targets where we started at 5 minutes, we brought it down to 200 seconds, we brought it down to 150 seconds, and hopefully we'll be down to 1 minute curation. So while personalization is great, we have to also scale, and we keep they keep hitting each other at times, and
it's investors who cause these problems. You walk in and they say, "Get bigger."
No, but it also makes sense for us too, right? And I think we realize that we've tasted the scale now. We're growing rapidly. We've understood how to combine personalization with scale, and tech plays a huge role, at least in our business. So yeah, so that's the way we've kind of grown.
One of the things that we'd look at was usage brands, and you mentioned the article that we sent earlier. You're really not ending your journey at the purchase, and you're very clear about the fact that you have to engage. And you find enough of your customers do that?
Oh, definitely. I mean, our retention numbers are really, really good. And so we sort of almost say internally that once you're in the label life system, you stay in the label life system, because there is a hesitation eventually in buying, specific fits online. You sort of want to hope that the fabric is as good as it looks in the picture. And when then that final tactical experience is complete, the product is in your hand and you feel amazing wearing that dress, you're going to come back into the system.
It sounds like, again, the three of you here are on a different side, in one sense of saying that it's worth it. If it's worth it, you're paying for it. And you're finding that customers are accepting of that because they know what they're getting.
The relationship begins once you receive the box. Your stylist will reach out to you, will give you 1 week to kind of, many times, sometimes people are traveling, so they don't, so we wait 1 week, but after 1 week, we reach out to you, we build a relationship, we send you content on how to wear the things you like. We're also collecting so much data about you that say we know you like pink shirts. We will...
Amazing.
First of all, I got a little nervous because my eyes are so bad. I don't know if that's white or pink, but I'm just going with pink. So we start sending you, several content pieces, even about how to wear. And of course, with men, it's not as exciting because you can wear a pink shirt one of maybe 3 ways. Akshay can jump in here. But,
Akshay, you agree with that?
Yeah, it's white, blue, and pink. That's it.
So we build our relationship, and I think people are still willing to pay, right? I fully agree, as long as the product or the service or whatever it is that you're offering is of a certain quality. But
so do you envision at some point that 3,000 rupee box coming to me at 6,000 rupees with 5,000 rupees a product?
No, not through Stylecracker. You'll always get more than what you pay for. That is our mantra. Again, I think it just loops back to what we do, right? We are stylists, and that's what we did. Even when we style a celebrity, right? We get them value. And that's exactly what we want to do here, is which provide value to our customers as well. So if you pay 3,000, we'll give you more than 3,000. If you pay 5,000, you'll get more than 5,000. If you pay 7,000, you'll get more than 7,000.
Okay. Anuj, let's talk a little bit about Sula and Sula Fest. You know, a wine brand, throwing a party, your brand, all good, no bad. Just explain a little bit about how you got into this, where it relates.
Okay, so I think a lot of engagement once again comes around over there. We realized that it was a very similar target audience, people who love music, want to spend a weekend in a different place with friends, with family, go have a good time. And a lot of the people who are now going for these things are actually not making it about alcohol or losing their minds, you know, over something. They're really going for a very holistic, good experience. And over the years, as I've been going to Sula and other music festivals, I realized that there's a large amount of people that don't want to drink alcohol, and if they do, it's not something they're going to drink all day at the music festival. So that's where, you know, Rajiv and I started talking, and we said, you know, should we do something over here? And you know, that's how Sula came around for Sula itself. Sula, you know, where they can't advertise, so they had to actually build this entire, you know, arena where people could actually come and understand the experience that one can have drinking alcohol or wine in particular. So we thought we'd do something. I think the thing that really worked for us was it wasn't about the sponsorship or the on-ground engagement was fantastic. We had several points of sale. We obviously did some kind of combination with their sparkling and our orange juice as a mimosa, etc. But the thing that really worked for us is we went very prepared with what kind of content we wanted to put out after the event, just to kind of, you know, make people understand what the mood of this entire thing was. And all good, no bad doesn't make you, you know, someone with a halo over your head. It started out with, you know, our product code, which is everything that's good goes inside the bottle and everything that's bad is not inside. And then it obviously extended to people in terms of if you have good thoughts, you know, you will commit no bad actions. And if you have good friends, you won't have bad company. And then it's our view of the world in terms of everyone wants to be all good, no bad. But part of that is balance. So we are the kind of people that maybe want to have a beer at night and wake up and have a green juice. We may go dancing till 3 in the morning, but you know, we got to have our yoga session. We work very hard, but we also need to go travel and spend time with loved ones. So our generation, whether we call it millennial or, you know, whatever the generation X, Y, Z, whatever it is right now, I think the idea is that we want to have a good time, but we want to do it responsibly. So when we went in there and we put out a video, and I think this is one thing that Rajiv said, he said, you hijacked my event, because immediately, within 6 days after Sula Fest ended, we had already made an entire 2-minute video with music and shots and, you know, all this kind of screen grabs that we could with people and the artists and everything. And then we just flooded it on social media with the entire thing. And it looked almost like the Sula Fest experience was no longer about wine. It was actually about all good, no bad, having a good time, listening to music, you know, drinking if you have to, waking up with juice. And it kind of put a very interesting spin on the people that go there.
Is that what drove the Magnum partnership as well? You guys, maybe you just explain what that was as well, and then
Sure. We actually had a lot of fun with it. We do believe that, I mean, our entire business is built on the idea of a lifestyle. We call it the 99 lifestyle, very actually similar to a lot of points that Anuj made in terms of we are these people. We indulge, we work hard, and a lot of our collaborations are obviously with like-minded brands. Magnum was really interesting because as an international brand, obviously they've collaborated. I mean, as an F&B brand or you know, a confectionery.
just so everyone's
brand.
aware, it's the ice cream.
Yeah,
that we're
Magnum, the ice cream. Yes, the ice cream brand. Sorry, they. So, I mean, they have an international strategy of sort of also collaborating with a lot of fashion brands because they see the same synergy. They were at Cannes and, you know, they're in the right places. And so it was interesting when they approached us to see how this could play out for us. one, to give our existing customer a brand new, a fresh spin on what we do, which is something we do with all of guest collaborations and designers as well. The other thing was to see how it would work because they retail offline, of course with completely different price points, but the customer is the same. So to see how that could work for us as a synergy, and obviously the reach, the outreach that we got out of a collaboration like that was great for us in an acquisition point of view.
So it played out well.
Very well. Yeah, very well.
So actually now you have launched in New York as well, right, with a physical outlet. So now we've been talking about building brand and building awareness in one market. You're in Dubai and in New York. Now you've got to take on this challenge of figuring out in multiple markets and taking a product from here and delivering it at that quality. How are you thinking about it?
So in terms of the product itself, it's all manufactured here and shipped to New York and Dubai, etc. I think what we hadn't accounted for is seasonality. It's not something we experience here. So those are learning experiences. A few of the questions we're grappling with at the moment is things like social media. Stuff that we might post here may not be relevant there, and it lowers engagement. So we're grappling with a few things. Obviously, hadn't thought through everything before we started. As we go along, we'll iterate.
So I want to talk a little bit about celebrities and back to that general in the genre of how to build a brand. Now, we were talking earlier about the fact that you signed up Alia Bhatt, and I wouldn't say signed up per se. You brought her on as an investor. You brought on Jacqueline Fernandez as an investor, and your founders as well are from that. How are you looking at that? And how are you thinking about it? It doesn't seem like it's the traditional, let me put you on a billboard, and I think you said, buy my juice. It's not buy my juice. It's a little bit different. And do you feel like you're giving up an opportunity to supercharge it by just saying, why don't you just say, go to Stylecracker and buy product? It would just make life a lot easier and we grow faster. Well, actually, maybe you don't have investors that are irritating you like that, but
yeah, we're lucky.
And I wouldn't say we would either. I would say, look, being honest to who you are as a brand and finding, I guess, that person who can accentuate that is important. But how are you using it?
I'll tell you. I think the nature of our relationship with for this investment was a little different. Alia invested because we used to, and we still do style her for most of her stuff. Just now, I think she has a lot going on. We have a lot going on, so we don't style her too much anymore. But I think she truly, right from the beginning, believed in what we were doing. She used to check in on us once every few months just to say, oh, hey, by the way, how's it going? What's happening with Stylecracker? And I used to give her an update, and that was that. So I think when she came in as an investor, she's come in truly as a pure play investor. I mean, our conversations are, she's become a great source, I think, as an actor. She has about 21 million followers on Instagram. So as an actor, I think she has a finger on the pulse as to what the Indian consumer wants. I'm not saying in fashion or food or beverage or any. She just understands what the consumer wants because that's her business, right? To sell her films over and over again. So the nature of our relationship is very strategic. She constantly gives us inputs. She's very involved in the product. She's very involved in the entire consumer and customer experience. So I think putting her on a billboard or on a TV commercial or something, it just isn't the nature, it isn't the chemistry.
In your world, you have a personality there that has, I guess, direct understanding and background and competency in the product that you're dealing with. Did you find the same?
Exactly the same.
Jacqueline was into juice?
Don't say that. I knew it was coming. I knew it was coming. Well, I mean, that's for, I didn't know her personally. That started with, actually a lot of film stars ordered juices, cold pressed juices, to their film sets. And it's like send 500 bottles for the whole crew for the whole day, etc. So I think just she in her personal life is someone that does understand, clean living and eating and focuses a lot on her own energy and exercise and all of that stuff. So she understood the product, and she I think globally there are many brands like ours, and she'd seen that. So
Your relationship's not there driven by, I'll give you a day a week to shoot a post,
No.
a picture with,
Not at all.
with the product, and I need this many posts every week. And
So she's an investor, which, as you'd agree, she's looking to do whatever she can in her ability to grow the business so that she can have the highest rate of return.
juice, perhaps juice I know, but raw press is a bit of a education process to understand some of the benefits I'm getting there. Being able to personalize my clothing, being able to have a stylist, there's a lot of education of a customer that needs to go on.
In our field, what is important is innovation. You know, in order to give you something very simple, we do very, very complex things at the back end. And it first requires imagination. It requires, some guts. And then you really have to be able to find whether it's the relevant technology. You can't imagine how many, farmers that we need to work with to understand what kind of soil they have to actually, how they have to grow things, how they have to harvest it, what kind of cold storages. There is so much innovation, and all because we just say that, at the end of the day, I'm just giving you oranges inside a bottle and, all of that. There's so much complexity. So the innovation happens because many things do not exist. And you need to have the imagination or the guts to believe that they can exist. And when we believe that they can exist, we actually go backwards and then we try and find new ways to make it happen. So we make a lot of mistakes, and we've made mistakes, and we're a very young company.
All right. That's about it from my side. Listen, I think I started out the beginning by saying this is a very self-indulgent experience for me, and it was one where I was very keen to try to figure out how things are shifting and going.